Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Mother's Day Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, episode 1, season 32. And Beer Baron has now left the building. He forgot to call his mom on Mother's Day and just realized that right in the beginning of the podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, episode 32. Topic today is should Sergei Brylin have his number 18 retired to the rafters at the Prudential Center? Well, we got a great guest tonight. Kyle McKenna from EliteSportsNY.com wrote a great piece about Sergei Brylin and why he should have his number 18 retired. He will be on the phone lines, with us very shortly. Shorts Guy, I got to tell you about Shorts Guy. I'm going solo right now. I got to tell you about Shorts Guy. First, I lost Shorts Guy because he will be part of the injury report. Could not make the show tonight, but he is in the chat room, the Facebook Live chat room. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Let's Go Devils podcast. Shorts Guy is going to be talking to everybody joining the Facebook Live chat room, and he will be part of the injury report. And well, I think that Beer Baron is back. Did you say hello to your mother for me? I know that you forgot to wish her a happy Mother's Day. That's why you had to, scoot out on the phone before. I hope everything's okay.
No. Everything is fine. Yeah, I talked to my mom earlier this in the morning. Some other things going on, but God willing, everything is going to be just fine. So.
Awesome. Well, we just talked about Shorts Guy. He is day to day. He's on the injury report. Actually, we talked about Kyle McKenna going to be on in about a few minutes to talk about the article that he wrote at EliteSportsNY.com. about Sergei Brylin retiring his number 18 to the rafters, and we'll have a little bit of debate with that. We're going to also ask the listeners in the Facebook Live chat room to comment, have any questions about should the Devils retire Sergei Brylin's number 18. This is my initial thought. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You don't do it because you want to sell out the building for one night and make a spectacle of it. I've seen some of the comments in the Let's Go Devils Facebook group saying that jersey, no, Ring of Honor, yes. That's also debatable. What are your thoughts? I hate to sound like a homer here, but I think you could actually make a case for Sergei Brylin having his number retired.
No, I agree. In my personal opinion, I think that his jersey should be retired. He was just like such an integral part to the Devils, especially during that, the Stanley Cup runs they had. He was always a reliable, teammate, a reliable player, just somebody that you can plug and play. He reminds me a lot of just like those cornerstone pieces that you see on Stanley Cup championship teams that often get overlooked, but are the reason that they're there. You know what I mean? Those are the guys that are going in and, putting in the tougher minutes. They might not be putting up the flashier goals, but they're filling in the sheets. They're doing all the things they need to do. He is, I believe, should have his jersey hung up in the rafters. I think the Ring of Honor should be different. Lou Lamoriello, Pat Burns, guys like that. Doc Emmerich should be in the Ring of Honor. I think the Ring of Honor almost should be reserved for things like that, and maybe a few players here and there.
Builders of the team.
Builders of the team.
Yeah,
architect. Yeah. So that's just my opinion, but.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good opinion. I think point well taken. When they first did the Ring of Honor, Dr. McMullen, I thought that was a nice thing to do, and it's going to be a nice tradition started at the Prudential Center and with the New Jersey Devils. But with Sergei Brylin, when you talk about retirement jerseys, nights, it's not about whether he's a Hall of Famer like Scott Niedermayer or Scott Stevens,
exactly,
or Martin Brodeur, and some would even debate Patrick Elias being the Hockey Hall of Fame. Ken Daneyko didn't have the numbers. Ken Daneyko doesn't have the numbers, but he is your prototypical New Jersey Devil. And one thing that we will talk to Kyle McKenna shortly, but one of the things that wasn't mentioned in his article was the players had this unsung hero award amongst themselves at the season end dinner. It was Sergei Brylin that won it a few times, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if they think of you that highly, they know that you made sacrifices where, okay, well, you know what, that quote unquote interchangeable part, the media buzzword back in the 90s and 2000 when the Devils were making the Stanley Cup run. I think that Sergei Brylin could have been on the power play. He could have been on the penalty kill. He could have been on the third line. He could have been the guy that's sitting in the box taking a too many men on the ice penalty. You could put him anywhere. He has size, speed. He's a two-way player. And, again, I don't want to reveal too much of my answer right now, although it probably sounds obvious. But I like to talk to Kyle McKenna very soon, and somehow we're going to have to figure out how to transition this off. But because I got to put him on the phone lines very soon. But I honestly think that there's an argument here.
Yeah, agreed. And, I want to say hi to everybody over in the Facebook group. Shorts guy, I miss you dearly. Hope you're feeling better soon. There's a lot of really good players that make up teams that, look at Brian Boyle this year. huge character guy. You know what I mean? Not putting up a ton of goals. He was there in the right spots, and you know he is a character builder in that room. I think that's like you said. Look at how many times he was nominated. Sarge was nominated for, the players MVP of the of themselves. If you ask any Devils player through that time about him, I guarantee you they're going to give a glowing, rave review about how he is on and off the ice and how integral of a player he was to the Devils. And I think that, it's like I said before, he's one of the types of guys that often gets overlooked and is a huge integral part of the team and the reason why they were winning.
Jeffrey Splendorio writes, it's not a very compelling argument. Well, look at Sergei Brylin's name on the Stanley Cup 3 times. I think you can make an argument there. You don't win the Stanley Cup 3. Yeah, we're talking about jersey retirement here. We're not talking about Hockey Hall of Fame.
No, we're not talking about the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I mean, and if you want to get into that debate, he is nowhere near being in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But he should be, like you said, some people were saying in the Ring of Honor. I think that should be kind of more reserved for the architects or the builders of the team. I feel like he was, a big enough part of that team and an important part of that team that he could have his number retired. I think he was a bigger part than John Madden. I think he was a bigger part than Pandolfo. I think he was a bigger part than, Langenbrunner. I'm just trying to name some guys that I think had like key roles in the Devils winning any of their 3 Stanley Cup championships. But he was also one of the few that was there for all 3. So I don't know. It's just kind of like it's one of those things where, as a fan, you want to see guys like that really put in the work and the effort to be rewarded in the end. I mean, even Patty at his retirement ceremony and his number retirement ceremony had him there too. So, you got to think like maybe it's in the cards, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I do want to respond to a bunch of our friends over here on Facebook Live. So Dean says Brylin deserves his number in the rafters, and Lorenzo says Brylin deserves it, no question. So it looks like, and it's kind of unanimous through the Facebook Live group that we all agree that he deserves to have his number retired. If it were up to me, I'd say him and possibly Johnny McClain. So, I mean, that's something that I would ask, all of our friends out there too. Do you think John McClain should have his number retired? Either way, my friends. So, I also want to address something else that I saw kind of thrown out there in the Facebook, in our live group. The often so talked about John Tavares, and I is that the chances of him resigning with the Islanders are growing slimmer and slimmer by the day. He is very interested in looking into free agency and possibly staying in the area. So be something to keep in mind. That could be nothing. That could be anything. Really weird not having Shorts Guy on this side, not having Sam. Just talking to myself. Bumbling through. Guy says he is also a team guy, and I think that is a team. You have to have your skill players, and then you have to have the guys that are going to be your foundation, your cornerstone, your anchors, the guys that are going to log in. Look at the Devils this year with Coleman, Gibbons, a lot of those guys that kind of came in and became the role players, Travis Zajacs of the world, if you will. What do you think, Sam? I guess Sam is not there. So Lorenzo says Johnny Mac, borderline. He did help us make the first playoffs with a huge goal. Actually, change that. I think Mac deserves it as well. I've been saying it for years and years and years that Johnny Mac deserves to have his number retired. I never thought it was right that Lou gave out his 18 as well. So I think 15 and 18 should be in the rafters. I don't know what the grace period is for that, for having a number retired, like how long, if it's like been too long afterwards that it becomes like a weird thing. If they wore the blue sweater once, but you know, Johnny Mac, not only was he an integral part of the team, especially helping the Devils win that first Stanley Cup championship, but I think he was also one of the guys that helped really bring the Devils to prominence. You know, he's been a big part of the team off the ice as well. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like he could have his number retired as well. Whatever reason, probably something happened. And I'm really sorry about this. As you can hear Sam in the background right now. Yeah, there's some technical difficulties.
Try listening to us on letsgodevils.com.
This is what happens, my friends, when you have a live show.
I don't know what. Okay, like you came back on. But let me
so anyways,
you, in case,
we're going to talk to our friends out there on Facebook Live. So if you can still hear me or if you still want to interact, let's talk about the injuries that we have or that the Devils had this year.
Never happened to me before, so.
Let's see. Sorry, guys. We're trying to work through a couple technical difficulties right now, so please bear with us.
Sorry about that, Beer Baron.
I think I hear Sam picking up on the other end.
Yeah,
hey,
our technical difficulties are sponsored.
You left me hanging there for a little while, so.
Wow, there's a serious delay. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, our technical difficulties are sponsored by Comcast because that company sucks. I like to throw them under the bus. Their internet is the most unreliable internet of all time. It never works. And I just talked to our guest Kyle saying, hey, our internet's not working. I don't know what's happening. But Beer Baron, I think it's starting to work again. Now everybody's debating. Now I see John McLean, all that kind of stuff. It says, Sam, cut your mic.
Oh, dude, I was mumbling and bumbling for a good couple minutes there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know
if you can hear me, Sam, but
this is really weird. The internet's not working. Can you hear me right now? I can hear you right now. Can you guys in the Facebook Live hear me right now?
You can hear me?
This is so bad. Yeah, I can hear you fine. I think it's just a major delay. We're going to have to, coordinate with the delays that we're having today. But all sponsored by Comcast, the world's most unreliable internet of all time, failed us again. But hey, let's try to muscle through this right now. So, we were going to have Kyle McKenna on talking about Sergei Brylin. Should his jersey be retired? The number 18, and well, I think it should. There's a lot of reasons why it should. Reading Kyle's article, if you look at the Facebook Live, we put a link up. It's time to retire Sergei Brylin's number 18. He is lose guy. Kyle wrote about, being a prototypical product, a Lou Lamoriello product. Scott Stevens, Ken Danico, Scott Niedermeyer, Martin Brodeur, Patrick Elias. I mean, he is a homegrown devil. And Beer Baron, I'm going to toss this over to you. Do you think he should have his jersey retired?
Yeah, we were just talking about this, and I was just saying, like, I was just kind of fumbling and bumbling around, just kind of like talking to myself for a little while while we were kind of fixing some of the technical difficulties there. But he, in my opinion, is definitely should be up in the rafters there. And I'm trying to keep up with all the chatter. There's a lot of people commenting on Facebook Live, and Chris Krumnowski, he says the only other devil that could even be considered to deserve such an honor is Sarge, because of the 3 cups and 1 team player. If you start retiring all these other guys, including Johnny Mack, it takes away from the prestige of having your number retired in the rafters. And I agree with that 100%. Sometimes I feel like there's teams, the Rangers, that retire everybody and anybody, and the next thing you know, there's 40 different numbers up in the rafters, and you're like, who the heck is this guy? The water boy gets his number retired and put up there. But Sarge definitely deserves it, and I feel like he like I said earlier in the show, he was such an integral part of this team. He was such an integral part of this Stanley Cup championship. All 3 of them. I think he deserves it. He's one team player, came up, played with the Devils, and that was it. And then, if anybody can do it, I think his number should be retired.
Could you make the argument of Bruce Driver then? I mean, we had him on the podcast, and that little New York Rangers stint, but he told us the reason why it was more of family and relocating. And it was all about that no trade clause that he wanted to protect that. I mean, you have to respect the family, man, when you're making that decision, later in your career after winning the Stanley Cup back in '95. But, you can honestly make an argument that Bruce Driver is an original devil. He came from Colorado to New Jersey, help bring in the cup. He was I believe he was the oldest defenseman on that defense corps back in '95 to win the cup. Definitely a leader, was a captain. You could make that argument. But going back to the subject at hand, is Sergei Brylin, that prototypical New Jersey Devil that deserves his number 18 to be retired? He's also in the Devil system, I believe, as an assistant coach. Isn't he in the minors right now as an assistant coach? You know what? And he lives at Short Hills, according to Wikipedia. Again, you can make that argument. Hey, we got sources on the internet to find out where these guys live, but he could.
Yeah.
He's all New Jersey to me.
Exactly. A great question that was just posted in the Facebook Live group was from Costa. If we don't retire his number, whose do we retire next? And then the number 9, number 6 in the future. So number 9 would be pretty nice, because that would mean Taylor Hall was with the team for an extended long period of time and put up numbers and championships to deserve his number to be retired in the rafters. And if he has another year like he did this year, God willing, we could see that happening. Andy Green, that's a good question. If that's what you're referring to as having number 6 up in the rafters, Andy Green, I don't know if I would or wouldn't put Andy Green up in the rafters, but I think
but he's got to win. He's got to win cups first. I mean, Brylin has 3 Stanley Cup rings on his fingers right now. I mean,
I think that's where you win the argument with Brylin, is the 3 cups. I think that's where you win the argument, because if he didn't have the Stanley Cups on his resume, you could say, you know what, he was a core guy and he was here for a long time, but I don't know, but he's got those cups to his name, so that adds credence to putting him up in the rafters. And as a Devils fan, ask yourself this: if they were like, "Hey, we're going to retire Sergei Brylin's number and we're going to put it in the rafters," would you be like, "No way, man! Oh, that's stupid. I'm gonna get pissed off and scream and yell from the mountaintops. He doesn't deserve it." If you truly, honestly ask yourself that, so anybody that's arguing against this, ask yourself, if they told you tomorrow that they were going to retire his number next year, would you be upset with it? And if so, were you born after 2003?
If any Devils
I might
fan,
understand.
Wait a second. If any Devils fan is actually upset that Sergei Brylin's number 18 actually gets retired by the New Jersey Devils, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you.
A few people on Facebook are not too stoked about Brylin going up there.
Now, to be fair to the people that don't want Brylin's number to the rafters, I mean, are our standards too low? But how many cups do you have to win and be an integral part of those cup teams for that
about
to
a
be
baker's dozen? About a baker's dozen.
And can you reference? I mean, there are guys that have their jersey number retired, and they only have won one cup. You're talking about 3 Stanley Cups. 3. We're not
and if anybody says you have to have, you have to be a homegrown player, let us not forget there's a lot of guys that have their numbers retired that weren't homegrown players. Scotty Stevens was not a homegrown player, even though he is a Hall of Famer and well deserved to have his number retired. And there's no argument against that. I'm just saying you don't have to be a homegrown player to have your number retired. Hopefully number 13. That's a great point. Thanks, Robert. There's just, I'm not saying they should go crazy and and retire everybody's number. I'm just saying they should think about, Sarge. I think it would be like a nice gesture for the amount that he did and is doing and has done for this organization. I don't think it would be out of the question to retire his number, and I don't think it would be that crazy.
But 3 cups, 95, 2000, 2003, went to the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals. Speaking of which, Ray Bourque won a cup with the Colorado Avalanche for that.
Yeah, let's not talk about
year.
that, all right?
I watched that. He got his number. Did he get his number retired by Colorado? It's as if they had him for 20 years.
It was Ray Bourque. I know it was funny because after that, when we lost that Stanley Cup to Colorado, that was the only redeeming factor to it. I was like, damn it. All right, Ray Bourque got his cup. All right, whatever. I'll be okay with it. In reality, I was never okay with it. I love some of the names that are popping across. Jamie Langenbrunner from Nicholas. Let's see.
Peter Sikora.
Yeah. And guys, we apologize for any technical difficulties if it's frozen, or if there's anything going on. We do apologize. You have to understand. Sometimes you work with a cable company, and they'll get you. They'll get you every time.
Yeah, I know. I mean, have you ever seen that Comcast cable bill? This is what I think when I see it every time.
Yeah. They don't care about charging you, but then you have to wonder what the hell they charge you for.
I know.
And Jesse in our Facebook group has just said, if not, retire his number, the Ring of Honor. And we were talking about that before. If you do the Ring of Honor, that's cool too. There's guys that you could put into the Ring of Honor, and it doesn't have to be that huge Dr. McMullen one. Which, to be honest with you, if I was a player and I had my name plastered on a giant wall with a huge mug shot, I'd be like, that's kind of cool, man. That's a little bit sweeter than having my number retired. But at the same time, they should have just a Ring of Honor. I know teams like the Giants in the NFL do it. Tons of teams do Rings of Honor. What am I talking about? Tons of teams do it. And I mean, that'd be cool because there's tons of guys that you could put in there. You could put Madden, Pandolfo, McKay, Claude Lemieux, for a lesser extent. Chris Terreri. You could go down a laundry list. Captain Kirk, you could go down a laundry list of guys that you could put into a Ring of Honor, or at least like an honorable mention. You know what I mean?
How about here's a Ring of Honor candidate, I think, because I think a Ring of Honor is like a builder. How about Glenn Chico Resch or Doc Emmerich?
Oh, 100%. That's what I said before. They should definitely have or at least a banner to honor those two. Patty Burns, Jacques Lemaire, Karan. You talk about the guys that helped build this team, or help build this organization to where it is. There's tons and tons of guys that you could put into that Ring of Honor, which is another good question. When are they going to do the next one? And if they're going to do the next one in the Ring of Honor, you have to think that they're going to do Lou Lamoriello. They have to.
Oh, of course,
they have to.
But rumor has it that Lou Lamoriello is talking with the enemy across the river, our cousins, called the New York Islanders.
Oh, the
Gordon Fisherman. You have to think that Lou Lamoriello wants to stick it in Ray Shero. Just stick it.
Yeah, and Bobby Holik would be in the Ring of Honor 100% too. You know what, though? It will be funny when he goes to the island. And I love Lou. The Devils wouldn't be who they are now if it wasn't for him. 1,000%. If he goes to the Islanders, he's not going to pay John Tavares, and then Tavares is going to go somewhere else, and he's going to be, marched out of town as quick as he came in. And I mean, that's just my opinion.
Hold on a sec. Let's talk about Tavares for a sec.
We have
just for a second here, because I know the topic at hand is should the New Jersey Devils retire Sergei Brylin's number 18 to the rafters? This topic was inspired by Kyle McKenna's article at EliteSportsNY.com. We have it posted in the Facebook Live copy somewhere, but read that article. But the Toronto media. The Toronto media has gone insane in the last week of these trade rumors. John Tavares, I thought I saw John Tavares is going to Vegas, and PK Subban is possibly going to be traded out of Nashville. I mean, where are they getting all these rumors? I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I mean, I'm just reading all this stuff. I'm like, where the heck are you getting your information? Because it sounds kind of juicy to me.
I can't believe it, and I won't. I definitely won't believe it if there's an E4 attached to it. But I have to tell you, I know you know what that means. I have to tell you though, the one thing that I love to see about. Let's talk a little bit about the playoffs real quick. The one thing that I love about the playoffs right now is the fact that you have 4 teams that are in the mix right now that, only one of the 4 have ever won a Stanley Cup before. You got a brand new team and an expansion team in Vegas. You got the Winnipeg Jets who, are the most underrated team. If you ask just a regular kind of NHL fan that's not like super deep into it, you're like, what do you think of the Winnipeg Jets? So it'd be like the Winnipeg Jets, whatever, whatever. Did nothing special. And then you look at their lineup and they have Bufflin and Wheeler and Laine, which that Laine Matthews debate is still that's I don't know. Patrick Laine is nasty. But I mean, you look at Winnipeg and it's just like they're incredible. Their goaltending with how I butcher his name has been really nice, and they've been an awesome story. And then I'm not gonna lie, I kind of would love to see Ovechkin finally win a cup. And I think seeing the Capitals get into the 3rd round, it's like, oh my God, if they could win, you see Ovechkin get the cup. I think hell would freeze over. I don't know what would happen, but I don't know. Like, part of my heart just wants to see him win. The dude goes out there and puts 120% out on the ice every night. You know, he scores a goal in the middle of the season, and he damn near jumps through the glass because he's so damn excited. If anybody ever deserves to win the Stanley Cup, I think it might be Alex Ovechkin. That's just my opinion. I keep saying that tonight.
I would agree. You know what? I would agree. I would agree. But I can also make the argument that, the Winnipeg Jets, they're a good-looking team. I was actually listening. I was in the car last night. I was actually listening to the Jets radio feed. And just, it's so funny. You listen to all these commercials, Manitoba's best, this and that. It is it's a real tight-knit community up in Manitoba, up in Winnipeg. But man, do they love their Jets. And speaking of Jets, the New York Jets should really take some notes on how the Winnipeg Jets do their pregame. I mean, heck, they've got the Canadian Air Force, Royal Air Force, doing flyovers over an enclosed arena. I mean,
well,
who does that?
Let me tell you, you know that the Winnipeg Jets got their name from the New York Jets, right? So the owner of the Winnipeg Jets, when they first originally appeared in the NHL, the owner of the Winnipeg Jets went to the New York Jets and asked permission to use that name because he was such a huge fan of the New York Jets. That's a true story.
Really?
One day I got super bored, and if you guys ever get bored out there, you really want to look up something interesting. It's where team names come from.
Okay.
Like the Chicago Blackhawks were like I believe a World War I infantry group or something like that the original owner of the Blackhawks was in, or there's something crazy with that's attached to that. There's a lot of team names that you think mean one thing, don't mean anything, or they were inspired from another sport, or they're doing I always loved how the Devils got their name, and if you dig deep, you can find out all the different names that they almost came up with instead of New Jersey Devils. But anyways, I want to answer a couple questions from our Facebook friends. So Alec asked, what star can we acquire this offseason? There's two names that I think that if the Devils got would bolster their team to the point where they would be contending for the Cup next year. And that's a bold prediction, especially with the amount of injuries that they had, with Corey Schneider possibly being out for 5 months with torn cartilage in his hip. But I would say John Carlson, the defenseman from the Capitals, and Van Riemsdyk. Because as much as I would love to see
two Jersey guys, huh?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Now you bring the whole connection back around. You got Palmieri. I'm trying to think. We got Palmieri, Patrick Maroon, who has Jersey ties, and then you would have Van Riemsdyk and Carlson. Start bringing them back home. Get them back where it started from.
Do you know who would be a great addition? You know who would be a great addition to the New Jersey Devils?
PK Subban.
They got PK Subban. Yeah. A nice right-handed defenseman, yes. Somebody that's crazy, eccentric, lovable, likable, charismatic, original, but we can all dream, right? So everybody chiming in on Facebook Live. I mean, you guys really came out today. We would like to apologize to Kyle McKenna. We're having technical difficulties today. He's actually listening in to the podcast. We will have to get him on very soon because I've read a couple of his other articles recently, and I have a couple questions about that. But yeah, I some of these comments here, I even saw Larry Robinson's name be in the Ring of Honor. What do you think of that? I mean, he was a long time. I mean, this is a guy that gets fired by Lou, replaced by Kevin Constantine, and then when the Devils are in the playoffs, suddenly Larry Robinson's the assistant coach. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, the Billy Martin effect.
Yeah.
He should definitely be in there. And there's names getting thrown around. Bobby Carpenter, Mike Peluso. There's a lot of guys, Tom Chorsky. There's a lot of guys that should definitely be in a mention. Like I said, if they had like a cool Devils Hall of Fame, that kind of solves a bunch of different things. You don't need to retire numbers. You're still giving the guys that helped build this franchise to where it is their just due, and it gives credit where credit is due. I just I'm sorry, I keep looking down. I'm looking at all these different things, and Nicholas just asked which Metro team takes a step back next year. Well, after the Rangers signed Kovalchuk for $6.5 a year, they're going to take a giant step backwards in their development. Honestly,
you don't think you don't think they really signed him, do you? Otherwise, that letter to the season ticket holders about rebuilding is fake news. I mean, that's not rebuilding. I mean, you're bringing.
Do I think they would re-sign him? Let me ask you this: is the frog's ass watertight? All right, think about it. This is that type of player that the New York Rangers always crave. Is that over expensive, overaged superstar who has a glimmer in his eye of what he used to be, and they go and overpay him and he doesn't produce. So would it? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Who do I think, honestly though, is going to take a step backwards? And I don't know why I'm saying this, but I think Columbus. For whatever reason, I think Columbus is going to take a step back next year.
Hey, I just got a text from Kyle McKenna. He says, I'll have a post up tomorrow on EliteSportsNY.com. Top 7 UFAs the Devils should target this offseason. I'm looking forward to that.
I will definitely be reading that.
We'll post it in the Let's Go Devils group once that goes up tomorrow. Again, sorry, Kyle. We could get you on, but we're going to have to get you on. Are you reading that comment in the Facebook Live group?
Yeah. Jacob Paul hasn't. Dude, everything about the Rangers is fake news. That's true.
David Perlmutter. Now, are you trying to I don't know, flame us? What about Gomez? You ranked 4th in Devils career points, 2 Stanley Cups.
I would put Gomez in the Ring of Honor, not in the Ring of Honor, but in that Hall of Fame. I definitely would. Even though he jumped ship, went across the river, I would. Man, drives me crazy. The guy won the Calder Cup or the Calder Trophy for the Devils. He did a lot of great things when he was here. It just sucked that he went over to the Rangers.
Yeah, he definitely, but and then he got kicked out of New York. So I don't know. Do you remember Scott Gomez when they had that website? Did Gomez score yet? Because he went on this goalless streak for the longest time. I remember going to the website every 5 days. It's like, did Gomez score yet? And it's like, no. It's been 1,645 days since he last scored a goal. Something ridiculous with that.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Hazen.
So we got a late start to the podcast today. Sorry. I started to think about it, why we're having all these technical difficulties. It could be the cable guy, or maybe the hockey gods are saying, hey, you really should be doing a podcast, on Mother's Day. I don't know. What do you think?
My mom is such a diehard hockey fan. She encourages that I do it.
Oh, okay.
I do. Right. I do have to say Happy Mother's Day to her, to my amazingly incredible, beautiful wife, who is right now putting our baby daughter down to sleep. She's the most incredible person I know, and I'm lucky to be blessed with so many amazing women in my life that I can call mom. So it's a really an awesome day. And it's a crazy thing when you look at it, and I have a 2-year-old and now a newborn. We have this conversation your kids, Father's Day, Mother's Day, like have a different meaning now. So I'll stop being sappy for a moment. But yeah, honestly, my mom, like I talked to her tonight and I told you what was going on, a speedy recovery to my old man who's in the hospital right now. I talked to them and I'm like, what are you guys doing at the beginning of the show? I was actually on the phone with my dad. And I'm like, how you feeling? And blah, blah, blah. And him and my mom are sitting in a hospital room watching the freaking Stanley Cup playoffs right now. So that shows you how deep hockey runs in my family.
Sorry, man. I was just making a joke when you were on the phone, and then you tell me this. Because all of a sudden, you disappeared, like in the beginning of the podcast, and I was like, "What the heck is Beer Baron doing? Did he forget to say Happy Mother's Day to your mom? He just realized it, like first minute into the podcast. I wasn't sure.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking. We should put Gio in the Ring of Honor. Again, you don't want to dilute it.
Yeah, you don't want to dilute it. As much as I love Gio, you don't want to dilute it. He might be a fan favorite because there's guys like Cam Jansen who's a fan favorite. There's people that you want to throw in there because you just like them as players, but their contribution to the team is very minuscule.
Yep. So, there are a lot of names like John Madden, Jay Pandolfo. They are Sergei Brylin types, but guess what? Sergei, three cups.
That's right.
3 cups.
I want to give you an update, and I want to give all of our fans an update. Right now, it is 4-2 Washington. They were down 2-1 at the end of the first period. They came storming back, put up 3 goals in the second period, and it is now 4-2 Washington going into the third. That is, I'm telling you, man. They stay out of the Tampa Bay scored those 2 goals on the power play. What were we saying when the Devils were playing Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round? We said, stay out of the box. Stay out of the box. If you go in the box, you're going to lose. Which is too bad that the refs had different ideas for that series, and the Devils just could not stay out of the penalty box. But I'm telling you, I would love to see. I know we're all over the place. If you're just tuning in, this is just how the podcast goes. I would love to see the Devils bring John Tavares over here. And there's, like I said, I was reading a bunch of stuff about it, and they're saying like how it could hamstring the Devils if they don't do the numbers right. I feel like there's a way that you could work it out, but at the same time, John Tavares will bring a bigger cap hit. You get Carlson, Van Riemsdyk, you get a winger, and you get a solid defenseman, a puck moving defenseman who can put up numbers too. And you get somebody, imagine a power play with him and Butcher. You could have 2 actual defensemen on a power play and still have a lethal combination in the back. I'm telling you, buddy.
Well, I kind of like to have former number 1 overalls on the first line. Taylor Hall, and Tavares on that power play unit.
Oh, Jacob, I apologize. I'm so sorry, Sam. I didn't mean to cut you off. Jacob, I apologize. I thought you were referring to Baby Gio and not Brian Giunta. So, yes, Brian Giunta I would put into the Devils Hall of Fame.
Is there a Devils Hall of Fame?
I'm just saying if they made one. So you're right. He goes 48 goals in a season is minuscule, and I was like, oh, damn, he was talking about that Gio. You tend to forget. He hasn't been here in a little while.
Doesn't the Prudential Center have some kind of like music hall of fame or something like that on the bottom steps? Yeah, something like that. Devils Hall of Fame. They should put some of those fans in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, and Costa, you bring up a good point. They did kill 6 penalties in that last game, but they were in the box so much that's what killed them. because they could never get. When you're in a box that long, even if you're killing off those penalties and you're successfully killing off the penalties, you're still keeping your star players off the ice. You're still working at a disadvantage. You're still not being able to put pressure on the other team or get scoring chances or have any sort of offensive resemblance of what you should normally be doing outside of, having Coleman go down there and try to scrap a goal together or something like that. So, I don't know, dude. Honestly, that series was frustrating, and I think when Sami Vatanen got blindsided, I think that killed that entire series.
Put the horn guy in the Hall of Fame. I think Jacob is referring to Shorts guy.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should we wrap it up?
I say we wrap it up. Let's
wrap it up.
We'd like to thank the Caps game.
Yeah, we'd like to thank the listeners, viewers, Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube Live, on Let'sGoDevils.com, iHeartRadio, streaming live, for tuning in on episode 32. Should Sergei Brylin have his jersey retired, number 18? I say yes. Some people have opinions on that, but I would love to see the Devils do that, but only for the right reasons, because he deserved it, not because you want to sell tickets that night and make a fortune, just like Patrick Elias Day. So, also our technical difficulties. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Comcast, for not providing us the best internet as usual. And but we would like to actually thank Kyle McKenna for, we try to get him on, but he was very gracious, very nice over the phone. Hope to talk to you very soon. Can't wait to see your article come out. We'll post it in the Let's Go Devils group. The top 7 UFAs that the Devils should go after. And that's that. So anyway, all right. So we'll be back next Sunday, right?
Yeah, we'll be back next Sunday.
All right. Let me
in full force.
Yeah, let me cue in our exit music. Somehow it's not turning on right now, but it's just been that type of night, Beer Barrett. First
one of those shows. Jeez.
Yeah, maybe we'll go over the injury report like 2 weeks later on the next podcast. We didn't get over that.
Unfortunately, we have time. We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about the injury report. We'll be talking with you guys on Facebook Live. Short Sky will be back. We'll get his opinion of what's going on. Who knows by then? Maybe the Capitals will have swept the Bolts. Or maybe it'll be a series. So I don't know, Sammy. Sign them off.
All right. Well, till next time, this is Let's Go Devils, episode 1. I'm sorry, season 1, episode 32. Till next time, let's go Devils.